my command.
No.
Deep in the pussy quicksand.
Well, I was just like, wait.
Got hoes in my hands and they fucking at my shoulders. We just throw them in the van, probably fucking make a grand. I'ma throw another band. 10 damn hoes at the same time.
Yeah. I got it. Okay, Hey, Johnny, unplug that hand cord.
Oh, yeah, he is talking about I'm like, oh, here.
Batteries are going low. Juice them up. Juice me up. Power up.
Yo, what up? It's your girl Coco.
Oh, no, I'm good.
Hey, Apple in the building, Latina Manzana on Heart Talk tonight. I got the illustrious, amazing, talented.
We on?
You got to feel it. It's represent. It's D. KP Platinum Studio Sounds, baby. I messed up. I'll go back and read that. That's the name of it, right? Yeah, I never said it, right? I mean, like,
Platinum Sound Studio.
Platinum Sound Studio, right? Oh, what did she say?
Studio Sounds.
I'm gonna go back to that.
Yeah.
And that's live also?
Yeah.
It's not live yet?
We're live.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, no. I'm about to go live. Tell me if it's upside down or not. I'm live.
Like, I want you to Dr.
Okay. All right, we're live.
Hey.
Nothing happened yet. I just heard cameras.
It's a bright flash of apple.
How do I flash it? Oh, I have to press it. I'm thinking it's
Is your light on? I mean, I'm on it. Oh, see, you got the two. I'm on Facebook. Well, that doesn't matter. I think it's just probably it's your camera.
Okay, Johnny.
Johnny, you're being
weird. I'll be a host for a quick second.
Yeah, but not with cameras alive. The shorts ain't live.
You ain't talking with your 3-foot socks.
Oh, I know you're not talking with your church socks on.
They're equal black socks.
Hey,
Hallelujah.
Oh boy, got the Rapunzel socks.
Let the church say amen.
Like,
hey, bro, if you want to, bro, you can come over here.
Got the foster children.
Hey, I'm saying, if you have to, bro, just come across real quick. I'm saying, just shout your name.
Okay, it's 4 minutes.
I'm ready.
See my dreams unfold, nightmares come true. It was time to marry the game, and I said, yeah, I do. If you want it, you gotta see it with a clear out view. Just sure she's trying to bless me like I said I do. Like it's 4 minutes.
I'm gonna bring y'all in like as soon as it starts dropping.
Little nigga, but I'm lying hard. They got me when I was stuck in their head, and when I departed, I go and get it. Joy like I'm an artist, but crawling with straight to walk from foreigns. In my garage is a foreign bitch menage. Fucking sucking and swallowing anything for $1. They tell me get him, I got it. I did it without an hour. I this shit with Mariah.
Please.
Run it.
Yo, nigga,
I'm
I'm fire.
It ain't your Hennessy perfectly fine right now.
No, because I'm making sure the thing number.
Yeah, go ahead. Keep making sure over here getting yourself a cup.
We're here working.
Rest in peace to the parking lot. Phantom so big, can't even fit in the parking spot. You ain't talking about my niggas, then what you talking about? Gangsta movement silence, nigga, and I don't talk a lot. I don't say a word. Was on my grind and now I got what I deserve. Fuck nigga, hold up, wait a minute. Y'all thought I was finished? When I go to ask them all, y'all thought it was winning. Texting on these niggas, I'm like Popeye on this finish. That's my team, Jose the captain, I'm lieutenant. I'm the type of cat that men can't think grind like a bro.
We about to go live, baby. We're almost there, man. Hold tight, 5 minutes.
Hey, what's up? It is that time. It is around 8 o'clock-ish. San Diego, we're live out of Lemon Grove, California, which is essentially San Diego. And I'm out here, KP Platinum Sound Studios, Street Illustrated Radio. I've got some amazing people sitting to my left and to my right. Everybody knows my guest co-host from time to time when she has the time, and my sister doesn't. You come when she's here too. Miss Melee Cuts, handle it, you know, fixing this shit. And then, very, very excited. I actually had to be formally introduced to her, even though we were out at the club, because I'm a huge fan, and I'll tell the whole story about that. She doesn't even know this. But I have the amazing Coco V on tonight.
Yes.
And so we're so excited. Oh, this is like, yeah. Yes, definitely marquee artist. So, before we get into anything serious, I wanted to kind of go back to how I actually got introduced to you. I had heard some things that you had done. I think the very first thing was your part on Katniss Everdeen off of Medusa, Demi Dago's album. And very amazing group of artists on that song. But when you came on, I said, oh my, I told him, I said, ooh, I was like, play that back again. I was like, who is that? Now I'm going to tell you why. Obviously you're amazing. Like, you don't need to be told that. But for me personally, one, I would have, and I don't mean this as a slight at all, but I would have never guessed you were from San Diego.
Right.
Your tone, your cadence, everything about your, just how you sound screams to me East Coast.
Yeah.
I just feel that, I hear that. And when I first started jumping on, you know, the hip hop train back in like 1985, that was the main sound coming at us, was from the East Coast. And so for whatever reason, you know, call me a creature of habit or whatever, since that was the first known and familiar, I just always gravitated towards that. So in the 90s and all that, I was definitely pro East Coast over West Coast, and I used to catch a lot of hell for that. With that being said, you have a style that I feel harkens that original, and by original, I don't mean the very original, like 70s, that kind of stuff. I mean like in the 90s when this hip hop thing really got momentum. And so you're just, to me, you are marquee. Like your sound is so much more exceptional than anything that I'm really hearing around. And again, some people might use that against you or say it's negative, but I love the fact that you don't sound Californian. I love the fact that you just have this very distinct, unique sound that, like I said, harkens to the East Coast sound, but I don't get the sense that you're trying to do that. Like, I don't even get the sense that that's even on your radar. You're just, that's you. So I had to be introduced to you because I had said to him several times, I was like, man, she sounds so dope. Who is she? Who is she? And he would text me, joke around, and be like, Coco V's in the studio right now. And I'm like, ah. And so he came in and he said, guess who's in the club tonight? And I said, who? And then he told you, I said, he goes, do you want me to introduce you? I was like, yeah. And usually I'll walk up to anybody. Right. But I was like, I can't, yeah, because I didn't know how you were going to be. He said you were cool, but you know how sometimes females with females aren't. It doesn't always work out that great. So anyways, that was my story of how I got introduced to her. She was very humble, very gracious, really down to earth and appreciative, and just like, wow, thank you for the thing, you know, the admiration. It was very surprising.
Well, she was the same with me. She was like, oh, you you know,
I wouldn't have
Coco B,
expected
and I was
that.
like, oh my gosh, she's dope. Like, I was just like, I want to be up your butt for a little bit.
I know,
like,
she's
you know.
I mean, pretty amazing.
And I heard your music,
Lack of
and
a-
I was like, oh my, I didn't even know that was you, because like I have the Medusa CD and everything, you know, and I listened to it, but then like on my in my new car it says who it is, and I said, oh, Coco B.
Yeah.
Of course, you know.
Yeah.
And then Bree Lewis too. She killed the
Oh, of course. And don't get me wrong, I have mad love for all the ladies that were on
She
there.
did so good. Her Adam Sunday at the little art show. She
Yeah.
freaking killed it. Yeah.
Yeah, no, that you guys did definitely kill it. And then I also have a personal attachment. I love that series. I've read it about 1,000 times, so I'm like definitely a pro Katniss Everdeen weirdo.
I love it.
And so when you guys did the song and then you were on, I was like, oh my god, that is so fantastic. So that's how we even got, and that was a couple months ago. So I had some other people lined up that, you know, before I could get to her. So I was just so happy that you were able to come on.
No, I appreciate you. I'm so thankful for what you said, because 90s, early 2000s is my heart. So that's everything I am when I spit on the mic.
Yeah.
So that makes me feel happy, like I'm doing what I'm supposed to do.
Good. No, because it doesn't sound forced or contrived or anything like that. So I really appreciate it. Before we get into interviewing her, I had posted last weekend and into this week, which kind of pissed some people off. I don't know if you saw it, but I don't know if you saw that it made people mad. This thing about, you know, fruits and vegetables, and the reason being is because I'm reading this book, yes, nerd alert, and it has to do with there needing to be a food revolution. It's called the Good Food Revolution, and it's about how this revolution needs to take place within especially the American food system. And in particular, he focuses on inner city communities of color, and the history of how those communities originally were responsible for a very large portion of the farming that was going on in this country. So that means generation after generation, you are raising farmers, and this knowledge is getting passed down and perfected. And then you have the Emancipation Proclamation. And so there was this big push within the Black community from certain Black intellectuals that really wanted Blacks to leave that Southern lifestyle that kind of harkened to plantation days of being a farmer, to moving north and really invest in being academics and going into academia. So this whole thing played out, and the Great Migration happened, and that's when a good portion of Blacks from the South migrated to the North. And then everything was abandoned about what anybody knew about farming, anything that had to do with being, you know, knowledgeable about the land. It was almost like it was such a shameful thing. And so he talks about how his family comes from a long line of those farmers, and his parents wouldn't talk about it. And when he moved out here, you know, when he finally got old enough, he would ask questions, and they didn't want to talk. They were ashamed of it. And so then he started, you know, doing a lot of research on his own and coming to find out all of the disconnect within now the Black community with farming. He talks about how many inner city children can't even identify common fruits and vegetables because they're not interacting with those. They're not available. They're not accessible to, you know, the elderly that really need it. And so then he started looking at the numbers statistically as far as, you know, medical issues, and finding out that Blacks are like 3 to 10 to 20 times more likely to have all of these different diseases and ailments starting in your 20s. So, I mean,
because of the
poor nutrition and the lack of awareness, and the only reason that, you know, other populations fare better is because they are faring better. They are not in the same marginalized, oppressive situation. So anyways, this is like, everybody that watches my show already knows, oh yeah, Apple would be reading that. So that's what I've been reading. And so it made me think back to the first couple years I taught, and I had very small children, but old enough, in my opinion, to know things about vegetables and fruits. And the first little party we had, I had all this like, you know, fruits and vegetables and different dressings, and I wanted them to try stuff. And more than half of my class couldn't identify most of the vegetables.
Did they try it though?
They did, and that was only because I had a really good relationship with the students, and they trusted me. And I said, if you don't like it, you can spit it out. I made this like big deal about it. So many of them didn't end up loving it, but they just didn't even have a name for it, which was like, no. It was grape tomatoes, because again, they're expecting tomatoes to look like the way they look in books and stuff. Yeah. They didn't. Many of them didn't identify broccoli. Almost none of them knew cauliflower. Sweet peas they weren't familiar with. And radishes were like, what is it? They didn't know if it was a fruit or a vegetable. They were like, because it's kind of pink and red, but they were like all types of confused. Like celery and then some of them that tried it were like, it's like a pepper.
What about like celery and carrots?
The carrots were there. Most of them knew carrots. Most of them knew carrots.
Like just like you know your colors or your 1, 2, 3. Like you should know your fruits and vegetables.
Right. I mean, I grew up on that just because like my grandparents and everything. Like we had fruit trees in the back sometimes, but like my grandparents and my mom, we loved fruit and vegetables. Like I knew what broccoli, cauliflower, carrots, celery, all that stuff, because that was my snacks. Like I'd go in the refrigerator and be like, give me some ranch with it, and you know I'm good. Yeah. You know, but even to this day, like I still love fruit and vegetables. There's only certain vegetables and fruits that I don't eat only because I've tried them, and I'm like,
no, I have several grown friends that are like, I go weeks without eating fruits or vegetables.
I just don't understand.
And that's so bad for your body because your body like needs that.
Especially if you're eating a lot of meats and stuff, like your body doesn't digest a whole
bunch of
meat
that fiber.
So reading more and more about meat, it's like, man, it's not looking so good for the future. I'm gonna have to cut that out at some point because it's not what your body needs.
No, it's not. But the other part that he's gonna go into, which I haven't read yet, but he just talks about how money no longer was invested in the small family farmer. It got invested in food science. And they figured out that they don't need farms to keep us going. They need to make us addicted to their food products. So they make more, they profit more, they get in bed with medical insurance companies. And so then it keeps everybody sick because, you know, the medical community in Western society is not preventative. Doctors aren't educated in nutrition, they're educated in medicine. So there's a distinct difference, you know what I mean? And people don't always understand that. So
Europe, I mean, their health and their like obesity rate is so low.
They get 3 days off. Their weekend is 3 days. I was just talking to a coworker about that today. I was like, he was like, I'm super tired. I was like, yeah, we should get 3 days off.
They get health care, they get education for free. Like everything is basically for free out there. And yes, the taxes and everything is different compared to the United States, but on the vice versa side, like their people are living to like 70, 80, 90 years old. Americans nowadays, like my father passed away at 61. Oh, that was young. Like, and I know, you know what I'm saying? But unfortunately, just things with diet, exercise, you know, the things that they put into this food and, you know, even what they put into the waters. Like, if you were to test your pH in the water, like, I guarantee you it'd be skyrocket. You know, so it's a cycle. Like you guys have said, it's just a cycle. Like this drug leads to this problem. Okay, so it'll kind of fix this problem, but it'll cause this problem. Then it causes another problem.
Side effects.
You know what I'm saying? And then all three of them together, like literally, it's insane.
Yeah.
You know,
I feel like in general, like people just need to become more health conscious.
They think it's horrible. They think, oh my God, it's not. Yeah, they well, no, it's not even that. It's just that they think that like it's gonna be plain, it's gonna be whatever. No, you can use seasoning. You can do things. To
right, but it's not. It's easy to say that, but it's hard if.
It's a lifestyle change. I will definitely say that because I used to be in like literally 6 meals a day, 2 times a day at the gym. Like I'm big right now. You know what I'm saying? I used to be way skinnier, like where you could still see muscle and like fibers and like literally I was 125 pounds stacked, but I was 6 to 7 times square meals, snacks in between, like no carbs, no like sugars, no like, you know, excessive meats and stuff like that. Like I was literally in the gym 6 o'clock in the morning, 6 o'clock at night type deal, you know, and literally just taking my body as like the temple that it's supposed to be. Yeah. But as I've gotten older, like injuries and all this other kind of stuff, it's my excuses. It's really what it is. But I have tried to do the whole vegan thing, but my body just, I've been eating meat for so long that I don't get enough protein from the vegetables. So I've literally cut pork and red beef out, you know what I'm saying? And I've just basically stuck to like fish, chicken, and a little bit of turkey. Because turkey's kind of bland and you can't spice turkey up too much.
No.
But, you know, I'm still trying to like weed bad things out as far as health-wise because I definitely see something in my depression, my anxiety, like all that.
Well, that was the other thing I was going to say, which is a great segue because food determines mood. So we try to educate that with our families. And when you're bringing your children to us with all the empty calories, full of sugar, carbs, it's no wonder so many boys of color are being told they're hyperactive.
ADHD,
ADD, whatever it is. It's like, yeah, they are exhibiting signs of that, from poor nutrition, you know, not having enough understanding of what's happening to their body, so they're just living it. So and then they get medicated for those conditions, and then that medication, like you said, causes side effects that start damaging things.
It's also the lack of knowledge of parents as well too, because as a parent, I know we're not going to be perfect, but if you already know that you have side effects of already like genetic things, I know some genetic things that I have, so if I ever do,
but most people don't know that. That's what I'm saying. Like,
well,
as a parent,
they just don't want to know though. You can, if you really want to have something better for your child, like wouldn't you want to like research?
It's not that, because when you come from these neighborhoods, when you come from these environments, that's not even on your radar. Like when I became a young mother, I wasn't even thinking about I should know what I am gonna have and I need to get my DNA. I mean, that wasn't even, are you kidding me? I was just like a young person about to have a baby. What the fuck am I gonna do? Like, and that was very common in my community. So what I'm saying is you can't say, well, as a parent you should. It goes back to, well, what is your lived experience? What were you exposed to that maybe other families weren't exposed to? You know, I grew up in the hood, and I swear to God, my mother was the only person walking around. I had friends who would come to my house and be like, what's wrong with your bread? Because it was brown, whole wheat bread. They were like, what is this? And I had white bread for the first time when I was like 10 years old, and I said, Mother, what are you doing? Why have I not had white bread? What is happening? And she just went into the whole rant about how I should know better and this and that, and yeah, so I understand only because of that lived experience. But none of my friends would have known that because their parent, it wasn't on their radar. So you tend
it's
to,
not like the common,
it's not the common
anything.
at
it's like
all.
Something you have to go grab. Like,
exactly.
I know all the things I know about health now because I actually went out and got it.
Exactly.
And like when you get on and you get onto that new level of knowledge, you want to spread it. You want to tell people so bad. They look at you like you're crazy. Like, what do you mean blend all these vegetables and fruits together and put in these seeds and do all this like a couple times a day and everything will be straight and I don't need no medicine. What do you mean?
Yeah, they just don't, because they
it's
don't
the same
know
thing. You're
what
putting
it is
inside your body, but it's the natural way. It's from God. It's from the soil.
What it is they don't understand the holistic ways of doing things without a doctor's consent.
Right, which is not anyone's fault.
No,
It's
exactly.
the one thing.
No.
You know, I used to say,
it's our fault for not.
Wanting
really
to expand our minds. No. It's
but
not even.
Not everybody wants to listen to you.
It's not even that. You know what it is? It's society's fault for not wanting to expand their mind. Because me, you, and her, and everybody in this room has expanded their mind.
Yeah.
You know what I'm
But
saying? And we're willing to expand our mind. But there are some people that are literally, it's literally like this. You know what I'm saying? And literally, it's just like you speak to them and it comes right back to you. And it's just like, what am I even trying for?
Right.
You know, I'm literally trying to speak knowledge to you, to help you, to try to live as long as me and as healthy and as happy as I am. I'm still trying to get happy to this day, but I notice when I eat a lot of fast food, junk food, if I drink a lot of soda, like anything processed, I'm just like,
yeah, your mood changes.
Yeah, like I don't want to get up in the morning.
Super tired.
I literally like am lazy. Like the gym, what is that? I don't even care. Like, you know what I'm saying? So it's just people don't want to expand their mind.
And too, like what I also think about with that is that sometimes I check myself and be like, yo, I gotta remember how I was before I even knew this knowledge. Though I was just doing all that the regular stuff everybody else was doing. Like I didn't know.
But you were still willing to expand your mind frame.
That's
so you
true.
still have to look at it that way. There's still some people that were like, look, just expand your mind frame a little bit. Just let me spit a little bit of knowledge into you, and if it doesn't work for you, then fine. That's fine. But there is a lot of people out here that are like, Coco, Melee, Apple, you don't know nothing. Like, you know,
And
absolutely.
those people are never going to get a chance to
No,
learn.
and it doesn't matter
But I
how
feel like
young.
there's more people that want to learn, but
Then
they just don't
then that's
trust it, or they just don't. I don't know. I feel like now it's really like the product has to be the identifier for them, because they're not going to just want to do it. So I feel
But
like
you also,
people
we
need to
also
just-
have to, as women, we also have to be like, if we're talking about it, we have to be about it as well. Because sometimes a lot of people talk about it, and then you go hang out with them, and you see like the real them, and you're like, you preach all this stuff, but
you're not even living that life. Man.
so we're gonna go to our first break, and when we come back, I'm gonna just table this conversation and go into interviewing my girl right here. So listen in, and we'll be back in like
a minute. So I think that works too. Yeah, word to the yeah, ass nigga. Yeah, okay. Like no, I did it. I was doing it. That lady, you so crazy about updating to the experience you done. One complaining about the next pay they tryna upgrade me from what you tryna get that bag. Yeah, I know, cause rich quick, man, that's all the whole that's all the whole show. That's all the whole growth. Giving they season, that's all they call. I wanna move to the moon, so tired of stagnant life. Don't see material as a break. Always the niggas that probably never had a life. Niggas acting up, ditching to keep my right to skip. Rule my dude.
Stole my shine. All of my life. I'm like, about the thing that God told me to value. Feeling like I'm about to forget my purpose. You, devil in your ear, let him hound you. I'm into this life without reaching for my life, without asking for my time, without reaching for my life, without hate, no consolation. Nigga, that lady, so crazy about that. I'm breaking to the reach you done. While complaining about the next pay they tryna upgrade me from what's outdated, huh? That lady, you so crazy about upgrading to the reach you done. While complaining about the next pay they tryna upgrade me from what's outdated, check it, yo, bad lady, you know that they be talking, always bringing from the nerve to go when they
Yeah, bro.
Oh, am I tripping? Sometimes I feel like I speak for certain women.
Like,
I love them.
I feel like we're of a star right now.
Hey, I gotta apologize for your selfish behavior. That lady, you so crazy trying to upgrade me to the experience you done. One complaining about the next pay they trying to upgrade me from what? That lady, so crazy trying to upgrade me from the experience you done. One complaining about the next pay they trying to upgrade me from what? That's why I say. White back to this nigga. Yeah, white word. To all this nigga. Shout out to
Welcome back. We got on the mic right now the amazing Apple. Just kidding. Who the hell introduces that? Yeah, that's me. Don't worry about it. I get my own intro. Oh, hey, what's up? Loke says, what up, gangsta C? I don't know. Anyways, hey, nice to see you tuning in on Facebook. Anyways, I'm sidetracking. I've got Melee with me and Miss Coco B. So now comes the most exciting part where I actually get into having a conversation with our special guest.
Miss Coco B. Amazing.
And earlier, Earlier, I told the story about how I got introduced to her, which I felt I needed to be formally introduced. So that already says a lot, and I don't mean that that's a remark on me. I just mean I, as a common person, felt very like I had to be introduced. Like, I don't ever really feel like that with people, and I've met some amazing people, but I can go and introduce myself. I don't need help. But I definitely needed to be introduced, so that was saying a lot. Very humble, very amazing, nice and young, which is excellent because now she has a long career ahead of her, doing a lot of things, and I think kind of one of the best kept secrets, fortunately and unfortunately, I don't know. I kind of feel like two ways about it. So first things first, gonna kind of lead in by just reminding people. I said that I feel like you have a very East Coast sound. Your style, you pay a lot, you pay close attention to your lyrical content, your wordplay, all the things that are very poetic and stylistically unique to East Coast style rap. I'm not saying that West Coast people can't be lyrical or whatever, so don't start sending in the hate mail. But it's different. It's very poetic and almost spoken word-esque, and comes off, because of its delivery, as much more intellectual. So I would say in my mind, I put you in the category with like Talib Kweli, you know, Common, several others that are the more political, I call them politically minded, intellectual type rappers. I'm not saying that you are rapping about politics, but I definitely feel like you fit in that lane. You remind me kind of like like he's West Coast, also Kendrick Lamar, because you can go into that real cerebral, intellectual kind of vibe, and nobody gets lost. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no.
So I just kind of wanted to hear from you. You're very young, so you weren't a teenager like myself in the '90s. So what were your influences? Like, what lended you to have the style that you have?
Oh man, so I say first and foremost, my favorite artist is Erykah Badu, hands down. There's just something that's so unique about her sound, like something I've always loved as a little kid, and I was always wondering, like, why does that lady like make me feel like this? You know, like what is the sound that I'm hearing? And I think all throughout my life, my parents played like, you know, really like neo soul music and soul music that really like captured me, and a lot of it I think was the East Coast. I grew up on Donnell Jones, Zeke, Jaheim, Blackstreet, you know, just to name a few, Jill Scott, Erykah Badu. So I'm really, Raheem Devine, oh my God, I can't stop. I'm just really connected to that.
Very neo soul.
That pain, you know,
yeah.
Because that's why I got into music. So I just feel like that was the essence of just my ears, you know. And I don't know, for some reason the 90s just makes me feel at home. And it's just like, I don't know. I just think it's crazy that I don't hear that anymore, and I just want to like bring it back.
Yeah,
that's all I want to do.
Well, bless your heart, because I'm about 12 years older than you, so I definitely feel like the old lady in the group. How old are you? Like 5? What
I'll be 30 in March.
Yeah, 5. So, anyway, so I am the elder of the set. I wish my sister was here. Hello, she's 2 years older than me.
That's okay, because you guys are still rocking it, and you're doing your thug bizzle.
Oh, no. You get to a certain point where you just don't even care about that. I mean, you're just like, yeah, some makeup, some this.
No, but at the end of the day, you don't look.
No, but I don't want to do the surgery thing.
You don't have to. You don't look your age.
I want to act my age. I don't act mature.
No. It's not even about that. It's about that. Like, I had to question how old you were when I first met you, because it's like.
Are you guys saying anything personal?
No.
Oh, let's say it's still on.
I know. Boy, bye.
Weird.
Hashtag weird. Anyways, like, no, it wasn't even about that. It was like, you handled yourself maturely, but like, I was like, please, like, I literally was like,
that's fine. I'm just saying, for me, like, I don't care. I don't really buy into that. And the only point that I was making about having such a disparity in age is I really wasn't sure how old you were. Not that you look old or anything like that, but just because the way you sounded and your delivery and what you were talking about, yeah, it just sounded like, oh, maybe she's actually more my generation than I actually thought you probably were. 23, 25. But so what then prompted you to get into music? Like, was it just listening to Erykah Badu? Was it a particular event? Was it something
like
that
when you
happened?
singing as a kid?
Yeah, I mean, what talent show?
Well, it's funny you mentioned poetry because that's like the origin of me. So I look at myself as a poet before anything. And I just found myself like really getting into poetry and really getting into monologue to dialogue, spoken word type of things before even like a beat came into the picture. And I used to have like all these poems when I was like, I'd say early in college, like towards the end of high school. I was like, why am I so emotional? Why did I keep writing all this stuff? And I thought that something was wrong with me. And then I just like started hearing music and kind of like just grooving, and I started like slowly spitting over it. I'm like, yo, this is kind of cool with me, and I kind of entertained myself a lot. And then I kind of was like, yo, what if I just kind of tried it out? But it wasn't an easy because I did it because before I got into music, I used to play basketball. So I played ball since I was like 4. And since I stopped in college, I quit voluntarily because I wasn't happy with it anymore. But everybody looked at me like, oh, you're supposed to be this star, you're supposed to, do this. And yeah, they kind of questioned me. And I had to like step into this whole different world and prove to who I am and that I can do this. So it's very like liberating every time I go to the studio or I write a song or whatever I do, because it's like, yo, I'm supposed to be in a whole different life right now. And I made it sure that I was in this life and I could stay in this life, and I just love like proving myself over and over again.
So you mentioned a couple times going to college. Did you go out of state? Did you stay?
I went to 3 different schools. I went to Mount Miguel High School.
Okay.
I went from there. I went to Cal Lutheran University. It's part of the Ivy League in LA, in Thousand Oaks. 5 games in, I tore my Achilles and I was out for the rest of the year. In a wheelchair, going to school, in LA, don't go to nobody looking like a weirdo, trying to cat daddy and shit. And, that was, crazy. I rehabbed my ass off though, came back, got another scholarship to Arizona, called Arizona Western. I got my associates there. And then I went to San Bernardino on another scholarship, and that's where I finished up my English degree. But I then quit in that process and realized that I wanted to be an artist. So it was very much of a transition. Definitely not furthest thing from smooth.
Was your family supportive?
I appreciate it. No, nobody was. Everybody was looking at me like, what? Who do you think you are? Like nobody knew I could do this.
But I mean, like I had a torn ACL at 16 and had all my scholarships taken, so I just thought there was gonna be no after, so I just like left it alone. So that's amazing that you still like prospered from it, because I think I would be in a different place if I would have went on a scholarship. I had so many different opportunities.
Well, I think the bigger takeaway is you kind of have similar paths, because she went into something that probably her family and others were like, I'm sorry, what? And then you didn't go into that. You didn't do the sports thing for a variety of reasons, and then you also had a situation where, what was it that you were just explaining that you wish you would have what?
Oh, literally, I wish I would have rehabbed my ACL and then I could have had scholarships. Literally.
Right, but if you would have done that, then you wouldn't be
who I am
kind
today.
of and sort of setting the tone for women that look like you, women, period, in an industry that's very male dominated.
Oh, of course.
So that actually, and she's going into something that's very male dominated.
Of course.
She's in an area where it's, surprisingly, more females have made it than in your industry in terms of big household names like, female MCs. But you both kind of have similar paths of supposed to do something else, but actually did the hard thing. Hey, Angie, what's up? So anyways, I don't want to get too depressing, but I'm going to ask you a series of questions so you can, they're going to be kind of fast. And so you can, answer it as honest as you want, as surface as you want, as deep as you want. You plead the fifth, you can say pass. It's totally up to you. Is that okay?
Yeah, that's fine.
All right, and it can be a one-word response. It doesn't have to be like a full-on statement. So, but it's just to kind of like try to go as fast as you can.
Brain.
So not really expand on it.
No.
I like
kind of like
go in a lot.
Right. It's kind of like a thought-word association type thing. Okay. Worst day ever.
Too many.
Best day ever.
Birthdays.
First kiss.
Third grade.
First heartbreak.
A couple months ago.
Soulmates.
I believe in
Music.
everything.
Love at first sight.
Very true.
Halloween.
It's crazy.
Weird. Weird Christmas. This will be even weirder and kind of within the theme. Donald Trump.
Fuck Donald Trump.
Weird. Right?
Perfect answer. Perfect answer. Women.
Hell yeah.
Men. Excellent. I don't know if I said this one. Love?
No. Absolutely.
Okay. Loyalty.
Everything.
Name of the number one influential person in your life. And if it's someone personal, you just first name whatever you wanted to say.
Moms.
And where were you born and raised?
San Diego.
And you graduated from, you said earlier this evening.
Cal State San Diego.
Okay. And then you went to high school, you graduated
High school. Mama year.
Okay, there you go. And one of how many or no siblings?
One brother.
One brother. Older or younger?
Young. I'm older.
Okay. And is he in music?
No.
Okay. What would be your number one driving force to want to be in this industry, an industry that unfortunately were not for you in the 90s? Because I think that you and other people even in this building would have a much higher chance of being noticed and put on. Now with it, social media being such a key element, how many likes, how many views, how many followers, that's a huge component into whether people will even give you the time of day in many circles and situations. So what keeps you motivated? I mean, especially when you have, and I'm not saying that other people don't, but a lot of times people get into music because that's the option. And you have other options. So what keeps you motivated to do this when it's just, for lack of anything more clever to say, it's just so damn hard?
I would say because I do it because I feel like this is how I live my life. You know, this is not something I'm trying to do to like really, I guess, save me as far as like making money or as it just being something, a lane for something. It's what I need to be at peace is what I need to figure out my life. So I think when you have that type of stigma on you, it doesn't feel like it's hard. It doesn't feel like, if anything, it feels like your life.
Right.
It's natural for you.
And it's so natural for me. It's so comforting. It's so honest. It's so, you know, it makes me check myself so many times because I'm writing my lyrics and I'm like realizing I'm talking to myself in half of these songs. So it does so much for me that nothing ever has really done except God.
Like, does it mentally
So-
stimulate you to the point to where you're like, this is
it's
what
just
I
like
know?
a game. Yeah, it's a game every day to just not fool yourself with you know, the negativities of whatever it is, because when you know you got it, you gonna make it. You just gotta figure it out. Right? And I know I got it because it calls me. I don't wake up and feel like, oh damn, I gotta go write this song. I wake up like, damn, I gotta go write this song. I gotta go, you know what I'm saying?
Like
I
you
feel
got something in
God
your
wants
head
me to
already,
do this.
like,
Yeah, and
That's so dope.
I love it, you know, and you know, wherever I'm at with it, it's like I know it's a process because I don't look at it like it's gonna stop. I think it's just a part of me, like it's an arm, it's a leg, it's
It's
it's a
evolve
vessel.
with you.
So I have two last sort of word association, then we'll go into a break in the last segment of the interview. No, I forgot it. Oh, biggest win.
Biggest win in general, music. I think my biggest win was allowing myself to I don't know if you can see this, but this is like a tattoo that means like a lot to me. And I think when I got this tattoo, but I think I really fully understood why I got this like this. And I feel like this picture is like a person of a woman losing her mind, basically like letting things that are not even really happening kind of ruin like everything about her when she could just be chilling. And so I feel like I really conquered peace, and I really conquered a little spiritual path in knowing my direction as a woman, and wanting what I want and working hard towards it. I feel like just staying on that path, stay in your lane, stay in your abundance, stay in your aligned spirit, that gets me so many places mentally into doing so many other things. And I'm just glad I captured that as young as I did. Because I feel like there's so many like people that I know out there that still struggling with like internal things or whatever it is, and it's just like, man, I found this peace, and like now I could just like really go for what I want, and I'm happy I found it because I don't let nothing cloud me anymore. I don't let nothing like bring me down to a point where I can't see why God put me on this earth.
Right.
So I'm just glad I found that, because now I feel like I could breathe. I feel like I could work. I feel like I could be happy in turn any situation around, just because I have that I don't know, that accountability in my mind. I always think in a certain way. A lot of people let, I think, life's troubles or life's whatever like affect them, like to not grow as a person. Like, look, I gotta do this for somebody else, or I can't do this because of that, or they just let doubt them, and like I made a commitment to not do that shit.
Right.
And I'm just blessed I got it, because a lot of people can't do that shit.
Right. How did you
So it's more spiritual than anything. I'm glad I learned these things about myself.
How did you really find that inner peace? Because some people like they do like regular things to try to find
meditate.
like or even just try to change a lifestyle difference or a circle of friends or something. How did you genuinely find your inner peace?
I would say I found it through writing the music, and that's why I love it so much. But aside from that, I did a lot of people are like soul searching. I did a lot of I don't know, like checking myself. You know, I did a lot of what can I do to like make myself happier? What can I do to be a better daughter, a better, you know, whatever to whoever. Like it was a lot of like really giving yourself that criticism you need, and then of course like cleansing. I do cleansing
As far as
probably a couple times a month, just to feel better, like what you were talking about earlier. So I really, you know, understand what you meant, because that makes me just feel better. So I do stuff like that. I read more. I feel like I don't know what it is, like it just clears your mind. I do a lot of things, I guess, like self-love, self-care, self-knowledge, just kind of like pertaining to yourself more. Yoga is very good, working out, you know, things that you mentioned, anything that kind of gets the mind working healthy along with the physical. So yeah, you know what I'm saying? I would just encourage everybody to just, you know, if they're not at peace with themselves, just to like,
what is your favorite?
Take time with yourself.
What's your favorite book?
My favorite book,
you can't think of a book, give us an author.
the book I'm reading right now. It's called Don't Think Like a Human.
Is that guy?
Yeah, it's pretty ill. It's
y'all got stimulated.
Just
hold on. I gotta go change my panties.
It's talking about kind of just like you ain't no alien shit, but it's like, you know, talking about like, you know, don't think kind of like stagnant, don't think like commercial,
inside the box,
you know, standard. Yeah, think more intuitive and more spiritually, and more just receptive of like yourself.
Energy.
I think, when you get to know yourself better, you'll kind of like vibe more with the book. But it's kind of like just take it easy and like let the universe work. Like be very cautious of the universe as well, so you get to learn like vibes and why situations like happen the way they do, or like, you know, it's very interesting. I like it. I like to go to the beach, you know, like my little, you know, and sit back and just like vibe out to it. You know, read a couple chapters, go to sleep, wake up, you know, probably mad sunburn, maybe not. You know, and I like to sit back and make that. So.
Okay, so are you ready for the last one?
Yeah.
It's gonna be real serious. You gotta pick one. You gotta pick one.
Yeah.
No more sex or no more music.
Oh shit!
Got him.
Damn,
Got him.
Daniel.
Sheesh.
No more music. And on that note, we're gonna go to a break.
No more sex.
No more sex. Good answer. All right, we'll be back. We'll be back real soon. Real soon.
Fuck no. I'll be no more music. No mas. No motherfucking
I guess
mas.
because you could please yourself.
There is no, because there is no much weed and alcohol and other drugs in the world than like what I can have. Like, oh no. I don't even do music, so you say that for me to get up. I don't even do music. Nobody has brought it to my attention to like play it. I know, and they'll play it all over.
These niggas want that. These niggas want that shit, yeah. How you passing up everything that's
Hey, Coco, I can ask you, check the video yet?
It was like a lot of planning. So we don't try to go for next month. I think I got talks. That's how I get when I smoke. You know what? Everything's gonna stop.
Hey, how's that? You said at the club.
Oh, they love it. The girls love it.
Yeah.
She do, like, her whole vibe, how she go, like, I just be like, okay, you know what I'm saying? That's like the first met you, I was just like, oh, like, you know what I'm saying? Your whole vibe, like, how you met me, how we do, like, different, like, some people be like, oh, I'm touching, like, oh yeah, what's happening? And I was like, she's really not talking to me, and I was like, what's happening? Like, saying that I was just like, I was just like, yeah, what's happening? Like, you know what I'm saying? Every time I see you, every time I see you, you know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, every time I see you, you're like, oh, that's a bitch. No, like, I had to be introduced because I was kind of like, why is she looking at me like that?
Like, she was mad because I was trying to figure out that was the girl that I had heard about that could do unhaircut. And I used to get my hair, all this was long, and I used to get this with design and stuff. So I was like, show your business to a female. And it's kind of crazy. So I was asking her, because when we met, I was like, always like,
we're the same sign. Honestly, we are the same sign. So that's what it was, Aries. So that's what it was too. I was kind of like,
my oldest daughter is a Gemini.
I was kind of like, okay, I love them.
And we're back for the last segment. I just want to get into, for me, what I think the elephant in the room is. Maybe not. I don't know. I, as some of you know, will post things. Mostly I post about Black justice. But when I post stuff about feminism or anything that even remotely smacks of feminism, I get railed. I get railed by women. Women will come for me on these posts. Men already will too. Well, here's how it started. I'm going to just tell you real quick. Here's how it started. About a year and a half ago, I posted something where I had said, I have mad love for many of my friends and colleagues that are Black males, that are activists in the community. I feel like that is beyond the best modeling and demonstration that you could do, And I said, but what disheartens me most is that we will still, even within communities of color, hella rally when men's lives are on the line. But we still don't value women's lives. Don't. And I'll tell you why. Because a woman can be mutilated, raped, abused, and almost in all scenarios, the first thought that women have is Did she ask for it? Did she deserve it? You know what I'm saying? And so I was trying to make the point that while I have many amazing, intelligent, lovely males that I know, not even in just San Diego, in many different places in terms of those circles, will rally for the cause, Black justice, great, great, great. And then show up at the club, and now I see that you're playing this girl's friend against her, and you fucked all of them. And are disrespecting them, and are playing games with them, and are doing the same kind of fuckery that they want you to do, but can't see past that, because that part of my maleness is still fully intact, my conditioning to how I'm supposed to behave. So for me, I just made that comment. I said, I don't appreciate it. I said, I wish that all of you would rally and ride hard just as much for feminism, because men can be feminists, as much as you could for, obviously, police brutality and mass incarceration of men of color and things like this, which are very important. But I just feel like there's this overbearing, hypocrisy going on that is so commonplace. And because nobody fucking rallies for women, ever. They don't. We'll protect a woman. We'll do it. We don't go for the cause. And we as women are the worst violators of this. When I make comments like that, when I talk about how we are still oppressed as a sex, we are not, yes, we're given more rights. That's like telling somebody of color, well, you have more rights than when you were a slave. That's not what. So for me, it's like when I hear people say things and then I go and I try to say something, everybody comes for me, and it's a majority of people that are talking bad to me and saying this and that are women.
Of course.
So I have that whole diatribe. Excuse me, I'm long-winded. I know that I wanted to then. The elephant in the room for me is, how do you, as a female, fare in a very male-dominated industry where your angle isn't Nicki Minaj? You're not selling sex. You're not oozing sex appeal. I'm not saying you're not attractive, but that's a different lane. Yeah. You know what I mean? That's what I liken to the Amber Rose, Kim Kardashian lane. Plastic.
She's a lyricist. Like, that's what essentially what music is
she
about.
is. And I don't want to mistake it. Nicki Minaj, I'm a huge fan. But she has her lane.
She's a lyricist, like,
right. So is Nicki Minaj.
No,
but it's different. But what I'm saying to you is you don't have to, doesn't have to be your angle. Right. So how do you fare? One, do you get automatic respect? Do most men open to that? If not, what are maybe some subtle passive aggressive things that you see? Obviously, you don't have to mention people by name, but I'd just be interested in that.
Right. I think I don't know. I think my focus is more on telling like a story and telling I don't know, like actually, it's really not about me. It's about my experience.
But how do males interact with you?
Oh, they interact with me like it really depends on who it is, you know, because it's like everybody for the most part shows me respect.
What do you think, for those few that don't, what do you think the problem is? I mean, clearly we know it's them, right? But what do you think in their mind the problem is?
I honestly haven't experienced that, but I would think it would just be something that they going through.
So do you think that if you, like we all hope your career really starts to gain traction and you quote unquote make it, do you think it's still going to be the same kind of love?
I think, you know, of course, the more success you get, the more friends you get. I know already. So, you know, that would happen in certain instances, but I feel like honestly, like I haven't even really shown what I'm really capable of yet. And I haven't really pushed my music to a point where I can be fluently in the club or fluently in a huge presence, because I'm kind of really now bringing out that club sound and that thump and other things like that, working on my album. So I wouldn't even give anything really like a certainty, because I feel like I've only shown people half of what I can do. Sure. But I feel like definitely when I do really showcase everything that I'm about, and more so of this new sound that I have and tracks that I haven't put out. I feel like things would definitely, speak for themselves because things been moving for me. Every time I do something, I make sure I'm growing. I'm not staying stagnant. So things are going, but you really do have to get that respect. Just because I'm a female, I'm really not, especially since I'm not, showing this, and that. I'm really not gonna like, oh, here. I have to like show like, I can spit. I have value to this record. I have value to this, elevation that you're on because this is what I really do, not because I have a pussy. You know what I'm saying?
Do you feel?
I don't understand.
Do you feel like that? You have to prove yourself more.
Absolutely. I feel like I haven't really. I feel like I prove myself the most when I'm live. When I have a mic in my hand, when I just go, because that's raw and that's authentic, and a lot of people need, autotune. A lot of people need this, and that, and not to like shade anybody using that, but I am an MC, so when I do it, I really want to do it, and I think that is a different presence for a woman to have, like in this game that is not having a lane for at this moment. I feel like there's women that are obviously in the game killing and doing what they do, but I do feel like I do bring a kind of like a original sound to the game, but I can still get on that level if needed. But I think the authenticity of poetry and of Lord, what I'm really close to, is missing, and I just want to bring that back because that's still hip hop. That's still a lane. People still want to commit to a feeling. People still want to feel something. People still want to, talk about love. Nobody talking about love no more. So, I want to do everything. So it's just like, I feel like people minimize female rappers as it is. Like, there's not a lot in the game right now. So there's my own lane, there's somebody else's own lane. Like, look at the men and then look at us. It's like, we not even, look at the balance. It's not even compatible. So we need more, females out there like talking about things. I feel like even the girls, they love Cardi B so much because it's a female sound. It's a female saying, "Little bitch, you can't fuck with bitch." Like, okay, like I be feeling like that. That's why I rock with it. You know what I mean? And that's how I connect to that, because that's a woman saying that. It's not a man. It's like, yeah, everybody can be on their hood shit. But it's like a female is saying that, and she got niggas bobbing. That's respect. I could never hate off of that. And that's respect. You got niggas bobbing in the club, singing your lyrics. A man singing a woman's lyrics.
They mad because they're singing the lyrics, but they still dig into it like,
and not a single one of them feel any type of threatened in their maleness or anything. And I'm just up there doing I never once thought of that.
Absolutely.
Everything.
And that is true because she is very feminine, so it does. It is. I super get that.
She just
that
out
is a
there.
really good point.
And Coco B, the same thing with her. Like, she's really talking about her passion. She's really talking about her life. Like, here it is. Like, boom, boom, bam. Take me for. I feel like you are like, take me as I am, just like I am, just like Apple is. We
I'm
all
not like that.
Yes, you are.
No, I'm not.
To me, you are.
Nobody take me anything.
No. To me, you are.
Me?
Shut up, Cognac.
I'm trying to lighten the mood. All right. So, you mentioned about, having people, hey, Prima, oh, my cousin Mona just went on. Okay, focus. So, I was wanting to ask you when you said about going live, and this is kind of where we'll leave it for this last segment, before we get into the last post that I know you guys are asking me about. Several people jumped on. That I lost my train of thought. What was I gonna say?
I don't know.
You interrupted me too many times, probably.
Oh, man.
No, I was gonna ask you. That was it. You said about singing live. Any events coming up?
Any events?
Performing anywhere? Or?
By the way, I just got done with a dope cipher. I can't wait for y'all to check that out. It's ill.
That's one in Hollywood that you did?
In Hollywood, I was with 3 other guy rappers, and I'm the only female in there. That's it right there in the background. It's crazy.
So how can people hear more from you? Like where? And say it kind of slowly so that people can. So like Instagram, where?
You can hear more from me. You can follow me. Please follow me on Instagram at CocoB_music, COCOB_MUSIC. And also, I'm very active on Instagram. I put more like events on there. But I'm also on Facebook at CocoB_music as well. SoundCloud is just CocoB Music. I have official music videos on YouTube channel, Coco B Music. So everything I have basically is Coco B Music, SoundCloud as well. We are in the process of shooting Twerk That music video. That's my new single out right now. It's been getting played at Pacer Showgirls.
And is there a particular day?
Particular day, Monday tonight.
So you guys are heading over there?
Yeah, I think I'm gonna go over there, slide through. Particularly, Mondays, Tuesdays, and Sundays. My boy DJ Waistline, Pop Stars, it's Drew right there, cameraman, and yeah, man, I'm just grateful for the whole process. I think Twerk That was one of like my real club records that I put out, and it's been getting a really great response. I didn't make it primarily for the strip club because of the sound and the direction of it, but I think it could get played anywhere. I think it has a nice like feminine, like soft touch to it that I'm usually like. I think I showed elements before in my rap, but it's more like a full song of it. So I think that was cool to put out like a different sound. I'm not like going in on the track,
right.
But I think it's cool to put out different sounds.
They played it when we saw her the last time we were leaving when she walked in, and we believe they were playing it. I don't know there, but yeah.
So I'm excited for that. We're shooting a video. Next performance that I know I'm doing for sure. I just did a Halloween party. We were just at this mansion and over there by Still Canyon.
Oh wow!
It was really dope setup. My boy DJ MC Hype set that up for me. It was cool. But the next one is gonna be November 5th. I'm gonna say it's a Sunday. I'm gonna be doing sample Sundays. With DJ Koki. It's really like an authentic, like 90s, throwback hip hop type of crowd, and it's like a record shop that we go to, and they spin records, and it's kind of like a gathering. They call a few MCs out to spit, and I was interested in that, so I'm glad I got invited out to go out there and kind of spit some bars or whatever. So probably gonna do it over like an old school Biggie beat or something like. Just on that.
That would be the ultimate.
Yeah.
Okay, so I guess you will keep us posted if you have any events coming up.
Absolutely.
Very, very last before we close out, I had asked people what is the most annoying post or type of post that you see. And see, this is where I'm very manipulative in this, because I actually want to say all of the things that I just wrote other people saying on these posts, so nobody that can say Apple said this.
Apple said that.
Yeah, no. So some of the top 3, and I had many people. I mean, I think every single response, even if it was a repeat, was said in a unique way that you could so identify with. I was like, I could have written that.
Yes.
I feel that exact same way. I mean, it was just a moment where I was like, wow. When you said "Don't Think Like a Human" or whatever that book was, it's like that was a moment where I could see how human we all were.
Yes.
Like many of our thought patterns and things like that. So. Anyways, I just I have 2 different timelines, because I have an industry name and then I have my real name. And on my real name post, that's where people from my education world and family and stuff is. And man, it's just a totally different timeline. And then I go on to Apple, which is mostly industry, and it's incredibly entertaining. It is so dramatic. Yeah. It's like a novella playing out every other post. I have the funnest time figuring out, she's passive aggressively talking about her, and this is the response to that. I mean, it is novella, and like soap opera for those of you that don't know, don't worry. So, anyways, the top 3. So before I bore you guys to the top 3 is please do not have relationship posts when y'all are airing your dirty laundry, and then you get back together, and then you hate each other again, and you get back together and you hate each other.
Oh yeah.
That was like the number 1, and I was like, oh my God.
I know.
And I immediately thought about 4 really good friends, but anyway, not you.
No, I know.
So then the other one.
It's so funny.
The other one was please do not ever post this anymore. Who's up? And it's like 3:26 in the morning.
It's booty call hours.
It is so desperate. It's so sad. People are only
People still doing that.
People are only responding.
Yes.
sheer
time.
concern because we
All
think
the
people like you
time.
just might kill yourself. So I'm just saying
They trying to see where it's at.
they're just trying to make sure
Work that is not
you're
open
not
anymore.
pulling
It's
the
not
fucking
the
trigger.
motherfucker.
Trying to see
Antennas
what's
in the air.
happening.
So
Mayday, mayday.
Hey, fucking all your bitches and all of the renegades.
are you too? Anyway, so the last one was wait, what two did I say? I said
Who are you?
this is the last one. No, this one is the best. And this really bothers me. And I was actually surprised because I thought a lot of people don't mind that. But I was like, man, this is also a desperate one. Or where they say, comment 100 if you fuck with me. Or
Oh
you
my
mess with me.
god, they need validity that like you fuck with them. Like, bitch, where? Dude, where? Why?
Wait, what was that?
The
Every
validity thing.
time.
Like, if you fuck with me, comment 100. Like, for what? I
It's
don't need
so sad.
See, all these
I don't
things that
need
y'all saying,
validity.
I didn't know that y'all
Because
was doing
because
that.
they need
Yeah, it's so
attention.
sad.
They are so
So sad.
desperate for attention that it's
Yeah.
like, hey, notice me over here, right? I need 100 little hundreds on here
And
to
nobody
know that
gets
you
them.
fuck with me.
No, that's a different one. So someone also said, or when I get 100 likes, I'll post my next video or I'll post my
like-
whatever. Like nobody
Yeah.
cares to see your video that bad. Like I'm not gonna.
Or
Like, and then
1,000
hope
likes and
that
I'll stop
99
smoking
more-
cigarettes. Like,
I don't know.
What
I
do
I
you
find the
need
whole
1,000
thing
Those
weird.
are the ones that you gotta help out, though.
no,
Like, we
because
want
at the
you
end
to
of the
stop.
day, at the end of the day, if you don't want to stop as a person to help your mental
That's
health,
true.
your health, and everything in general, ain't nobody 1,000 likes gonna help you. You're craving for attention. People like that are craving for attention. Like when I post things, it's like to remember my dad or freaking food or like to tell my sisters like, yo, I fucking appreciate you and I love you guys. Like, you know what I'm saying? It's not, ooh shit, thirst trap. Like, hey, pop it. Like, who wants 1,000 likes and I'll take the shorts off. Like,
Well, most people are paying for it anyways. And you can always see that because they'll have like 10,000 friends or followers.
but they don't even know them.
But then they'll post something and it's like 95 likes.
Not
The
even.
numbers don't even, that
They don't
doesn't even
match up.
equate.
No,
Like they
they
don't
don't match
even,
up.
statistically, that's not even how that would work.
And then when you go out in public, like how many times
That's
do
like-
I'll break it down to mathematics.
I'm
No,
going to tell you right
seriously,
now.
but
and-
it's all
and
about numbers.
everybody in your
It's true,
pool has
It is-
pretty much died.
It is all about numbers because at the end of the day, you have 1,000 people,
But
but
then
you
it's
have
like-
900, not even 900 people out of like whatever you have. Like you don't even have half. You don't even have a third. You don't even have anything. Like, who are you? Like,
Well, who are anybody? We're about to close out because I can see we're rambling because we're on a good one. So that's gonna be the show for tonight. Oh, Tony, I hate you. Anyways, we're about to be done, and I want to just make sure that you tune in tomorrow. Demi Dago is hosting a new show on Wednesdays, The Wave. So please tune in. Dope show, good content. And yeah, my girl, Coco B, do you have any closing words?
Man, thank you for having me. I had fun, you know.
Yeah,
Dope experience.
you're a blessing.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're very big fans. You're definitely going to definitely see a lot more than what I think many other people in this city are seeing. So it's unfortunate, but it is what it is. So I appreciate your time.
Absolutely.
And I'm so grateful that you're here. Thank you so much for co-hosting with me. Thanks, Well, Luca, hopefully you're back.
We love you, love. We miss
You
you.
always crying like you got it, been frank, living in pockets. We gotta be honest.
Right,
Niggas
it's
reading
after
things
hours.
to get acknowledged. You got me garbage. Flow dripping, mace with the polish. I'm Davis hottest. MC, I don't know this shit. Got them talking in the background like who that is. She do that shit. Medusa with them big ass lips. I get shit lit. Pulling up in white all tint. Steady talking like you with it. Go ahead, put that in. Watch me fuck the flow up and give them 2 backhands. Smack a bitch left or right and tell her screw my mans. Basic hoes in the bowl with my crew walking. Get loose talking.
Go back.
Get your ass in 2 trash cans. I'm if butt in to any combo.
Let me go back.
That you haven't picture perfect of this person cursing and many curses. Been lost my mind, guess I put it in these verses. Decapitating dick like I'm Bruce Jenner surgeon. Get it poppin'. They thought I was on poppin' pussy, so I spit each a crack acid and all y'all hoodies. I'm taking this shit back like Sierra did. My
It's so crazy that you say that about each everybody does do that.
And I swear to God, when you when I heard you start talking, I was like, what's happening? It's like, who did this? And what's happening? And he was like, so yeah, to me, it stands out to me. That is the sound that's lacking. You're like picking up what Foxy kind of thought. You know, there's little Kim, but she's kind of in her own like little different lane. You're definitely more than Foxy. A little Kim. Like if she can go either way, she can go guttural, she can go dirty, she can go sexy, she can be nasty, she can be like all of those things. And your voice to me is like a softer version of her. Yeah. Oh my God. Quoted her in my senior yearbook. She was everything. She was life. It's too bad she doesn't get the accolades I think that she deserves. Right.
You're a Gemini?
Yeah.
My best friend is like a Gemini.
Is like or is
no, she's a
like.
Gemini, but like I love.
She's
she's a Gemini for
she's
sure.
A Taurus, but
no, we call each other because like I should have the ground.
Which friend is this?
You haven't met her. It's my cousin.
Okay.
Like from my sister-in-law's. It's my sister-in-law's cousin, but like we've grown up with each other.
Yeah, I'm mad.
Oh my God! Like you would love Sandra.
Sorry.
We messed you up. No, you would love
You
Sandra.
tried to get me
like
to get up.
holy
I'm
shit.
snapped.
Like she is so
Probably
white.
it is
But
so
then when
much.
she has to be like.
It's cool though, right?
I'm like,
You can be white and still put it down.
Still alive.
no, she's black.
said you can.
Oh, she's black. That's the thing. But
yeah.
she's so
Using the hell out of me.
but
Go ahead,
she's
turn
so
y'all
whitewashed.
off. Y'all say some y'all shouldn't be saying.
No, I love my cousin.
Like that bitch over that one bitch. Yeah,
no,
that one
my
bitch.
cousin Sandra is a Gemini, and I love her because she's like African American,
true,
but
right?
she's so whitewashed. But when she has to be black, like holy shit, she tears the whole fucking place down. And I'm just like, that's why I love you, because you're a Gemini. She's so like
And it saves it.
cool, calm, and
Yeah.
collective. But when she has to turn up, it's like cousin.
Oh,
It is
The
okay.
turn
Like
up is
I'm like
too real
calm
sometimes.
calm down. Like it is totally cool. But she
You need
understands.
stories.
Like she literally
Your
understands.
eyes open?
I don't know. I can't even get up. I just stopped.
Yo, after that second blood, I was like, yo, somebody get this shit.
That's because they wrote it back.